Choose your journey. It's time. It's time to walk the path to peace. Elevate your potential and become a beacon of positive change. Your path brought you here for a reason. Dive in. Embrace the power of collective growth and unlock the masterpiece of your life. The path to peace awaits.
For Gaia?
How can we be resilient in a world that's growing more volatile by the day? How can we thrive?
Don't buy into the fear. It's about waking up.
Explore the world's largest library of conscious media with thousands of films and original programs.
People all over the planet are waking up.
Gaia is ready for you.
We can adapt our lifestyle to this time of extremes.
For the seekers.
Inside, he was able to detect the fetus of some creature. It is clear by scientists that it's something different. It is not human.
The wanderers.
In ancient times, the Atlanteans were said to have an advanced technology and power supply based on crystals.
The dreamers.
My dream is to help people understand how the universe operates, so that each person can find their own unique purpose within the cosmic plan.
And the doers.
Thoughts can have an effect on your brain, your body, and your life. And I'm going to show you how to rewire your mind, your heart, and your body.
For those who dare to travel their own path.
Our potential to access the supermind is no longer simply theoretical. How can we hack our history to change our future?
We are meant to learn again and again in this life that truth does indeed set us free.
Now we are proposing a new beginning, a new history for human beings.
Hey, all right. We got the whole thing working tonight, and I'm excited to be here with you all. Thank you to Gaia. I just love Gaia and love everything that's going on with them. Please head over to gaia.com/Sid. SID, and that'll get you into seeing all the different things I'm really excited about. We just released a bunch of new videos and a great way to continue your practice at home and elevate in every way your consciousness. And please check out all the other things that are happening on Gaia. We've got a lot of things coming out, especially as we enter this holiday season. You got some extra time to tune into different things, so make sure you do that. And tonight, it's round 2 for the couples retreat. As we get into this, really looking at the art of peaceful living in our homes, and always excited for conversation with my wife Liz and Emily and Jason, and really we're just continuing to grow this thing and teach people how we can all live in peace. And that's just, imagine that. Pause for a moment, look in your own heart, and know that in your environment, wherever you are, doesn't matter where you are, you can have peace. Peace is possible because you are there, and let's do this. So let's bring everybody on and get this going. And I'm excited for this conversation. Awesome. Thank you all for tuning in. There's Liz and Emily and Jason, and everybody's muted except for me. This is the first time for everything. So I'm grateful to have you all here and excited for tell me about it. What's been going on? And I'm going to call it out. I'm going to do that like this: Emily, then Liz, then Jason, so that nobody's waiting to talk and learn. Hey, they're too nice.
I resemble that remark.
Awesome. So what's been going on? How's the peace going in your life, and what's taking place? What's going on, Emily?
It's been going really, really well. I have the best husband ever. He's right there. It's been great.
Awesome. Liz, how's your day been?
It's been good. I feel like you sandwiched the two women in between the bookends of the talkers. But I won't put Emily in that sandwich. I know she can certainly hold her own too. But life is good. Peace, when you ask me about that, I'm like, yeah, life is pretty good. I know we have a lot of holiday excitement coming up on the books, so that always leads for some potential shifts of peace. However, for me, I feel like I'm riding that wave of excitement and joy, so things are going really well.
Awesome. Jason.
Oh, can I speak now? It's going real good. I'm done.
Nice.
I'm gonna go anti everything you expected. Okay, it's going good. Next, okay.
So how's that work when you come into that place in the home? That's what I want to know. When you just go anti everything and say, nope, not talking today.
I don't think that's ever happened. It's not going to happen tonight either, but it was a funny intro.
Right. I feel you.
Honestly, the only time I ever really stop talking is, and you know this, like it gets to a place where you're talking to somebody who it's not a two-way dialogue anymore. Right. And you're just like, okay, cool. And you just let them talk themselves out so you can move on to the rest of your life. So.
Right. Well, I know that you lost your voice, so there was that.
Yeah. Well, so some kind of sickness going around, and Emily and I never really stop in one place long enough to really rest and recover. But that happened on Saturday, and I was in Nashville, at the time, and so it's been going around, but I got over it very quickly, which is good. We do our best to stay healthy. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. And, this week or this month, we've been talking about the art of peaceful living and what does it look like to live in that space. We have all these different tools. We went up and trained teachers up in Boston and all those different things. And so I'm curious, just, in your home, what does it look like to be in the art of peaceful living? Because it's an art to maintain peace in any environment, especially you all are newly married, so you get to hold up the newlywed side of things. What's that look like to hold that place for each other? All right, Jason, you can go first.
He was like chomping at the bit. He wanted to speak.
No, we're newly married, 7 years together, but it is newly married. For us, again, our place is joy, right? That's our place. And for us in our home, there's never a place of contention. A long time ago, 7 years ago, one of the first or second conversations that Emily and I had was the standards of joy, the standards of peace, the standards of how we were going to live our life. And, we've got a whiteboard on the refrigerator that says, we get it, you get my best and the world gets the rest. And so that's kind of how we do life together is, it's always better when we're laughing. And it's one of my favorite things to do with Emily is to to make sure she's got a gorgeous smile, and it's my favorite thing to see on her face. So I do ridiculous things to make sure that she's laughing most of the time.
I love that. I love that. Emily, would you second this notion, or you got something else to add to it too?
No, I second that. And I think that kind of mentality is how we interact with other people too. And we make sure that we're surrounding ourselves with people who are feeding that same mentality. So we have joy with each other. We keep a peaceful home, but we also make sure that the people that are around us are also cultivating that in their own lives first. And that enables them to interact with us in the same way. And because we're keeping our home that way, we can interact with others that way as well. So we're always able to build people up, but we're also able to get built up by the people around us, which I think is really, really important. And we did a lot of work to create that space. And it was hard work and it was tough. You lose a lot of people that you love, but they're not in a place of emotional capacity to be anything but negative. And so, but when you replace those people with people who actually have joy or are working towards joy, not necessarily perfect at it, it sure does create a different life in your home and outside of it.
Love that. Liz, what do you want to add?
Well, I love what Jason and Emily both shared. I'm also kind of smiling, laughing on the inside, curious, like if Jason is similar in like the crazy things he'll do to make Emily smile. Thinking
There's
about
no
how
end to
soon.
that. Yeah, there's no end to what that boundary is to make me laugh and make me smile. It can get really weird, really fast.
I'm biting my tongue to see how far Liz is going with this comment.
I'm not going too far. You just, I only know what happens inside of my house. So I'm like, if I was a fly on the wall, what would it look like? And I feel like there's definitely a lot of joy in our home. And I think it comes to like a level of acceptance of self and of the moments. And I certainly feel like I have both of those with you, Sid. And it's like letting go of making sense of things sometimes and just being present. So I don't even remember what your question was, but because I'm in the presence of it. And that's what I've got.
Love that.
Awesome. This week I was well, for the last couple months, I've been doing this training with people up in Hingham, Massachusetts, and this was the last week in person. We just did the last intensive, and what I at the end, and Liz was gone, but someone said, I really love the way you all stand for each other and defend each other no matter what, and that, and at the same time, if it were way out there, one of us would say something that was big for people to recognize that that's just how we move. We move as a unit. I trust that everything that Liz is moving from comes from a place of peace and love that she is. And I think that's important part of it too, for me is that I know I can trust Liz to be herself regardless of what's going on. And then to also know that I have somebody that has my back no matter what. Because especially this one moment, it was like there was no way for me to, no matter what I was going to say, it was going to be damned if I do, damned if I don't. It's one of those situations as a guy in the midst of a yoga training with all women. It was damned if I do, damned if I don't. And so then it was just kind of like, I'm going to sit back and let this play out, see who says what. And Liz stood up. So I think that's part of it too for me, is I can keep my peace at times because I know I have somebody else on my side. So I would imagine it's the same for you all.
That's so true. And I think it also, Jason and I, we encounter, and I'm sure you guys encounter people who are always talking poorly about their spouse. And that's something we don't do. We are in lockstep with each other. If there's an issue, you can resolve that in-house, but it is so toxic. I don't know where society made it normal to just speak ill of your partner. And we're in lockstep. We don't even speak that way to each other, let alone outside of each other. And then to your point, Sid, we defend each other. And that was a big learning thing that I had to take on, because I, over the years, I have tended to want to just keep everyone together. And that can sacrifice, I think, what needs to be said in a negative way, where sometimes you need to actually cause friction in order to set boundaries. And I mean, that was a big learning thing. I mean, right up until our wedding, we encountered situations where I was starting to see that I cannot both just keep like turning away from conflict in order to just keep a semblance of unity that's actually more of a facade than anything, because everyone in that group was mistreating everyone anyway. Or I could stand up and actually say the things that needed to be said. And that was a pivotal moment in my life, because I had not learned that before. Whether that's friends or family or friends who become family, there's a standard that we keep, like I said, with each other, but with other people. And that carries into what you just said, that I stick up for him now. He's my husband. And my job, even before, June 9th of this year, was to stick up for him. And there's those moments where you start to see that challenge where, hey, am I choosing family or am I choosing my husband? And to us, like, we go by biblical principles and we cleave to each other. That's the union. That's the commitment we made. And so if it comes down to it, I'm dying for him. And you know what I mean? I will die on that hill and I will stick up for him. And if it means you lose people in your life, you lose. That's the decision that person made, to force a choice on me or force a choice on him, which is that third party or me, or in a situation with me and that third party, it would be forcing a decision to choose them or him. I would choose him every time. And that's because I can have ultimate trust and vulnerability with him. He's my person. And that's a choice I'll make a million times over till the day I die.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I love conflict, and this has been
love conflict.
I do, and I just feel over the years, right? I mean, it's not something that I've always liked. It's something that I've consciously chosen. Because Sid, you and I have conflict all the time, and
it's fun.
in the but my point is that there's conflict. They say that there's a saying out there, and I'm gonna botch it, but it's that iron sharpens iron, right? And you don't get sharp edges, you don't get shiny things, you don't get a polished diamond. I mean, I've been in the diamond business. When you pull a diamond out of the ground, it doesn't look anything like what it looks like on Liz and Emily's hand at all, right? There's a lot of polishing that goes into it, and it's a skill set, right? You have to be somebody who's certified in that, which means that you've practiced it over and over and over again. And so I feel like in my life that I want people around me that are gonna have the hard edge, the skilled edge, to be able to polish me up as a man, right? As a servant leader. And the same thing goes back in return. And so I see conflict because on the other side of that conflict with the people that I love and love me, there's going to be a better understanding. There's going to be a better version of Jason. There's going to be a better version of Sid. There's going to be a better version of Emily and Liz. And that's where I've been for many, many years. And to watch Emily embrace that with her already just arsenal of assets and intelligence and natural beauty and all of the things that come along with it. Now nobody can take advantage of her. Nobody can take advantage of me, right? Because there is no separation between my wife and I. There is no gap of light. There is no gap. There's not a breath of air that's between the two of us. And, and again, she talks about people. I'm in environments all the time where people that we're away from each other and they're just going off about blah, blah, blah. My wife, this, my wife, that. Jason, what's going on in your life? I'm like, well, you should be holding yourself to a higher standard, because I would never speak of my wife like that, like you're speaking about yours. Right. And that's our job. That creates a conflict with whoever I'm talking to be able to improve their behavior and maybe look at their relationship in a different way, instead of what the world does at large is they just accept the lowest common denominator of each other. And I don't want to live in a space like that.
I love that. Liz, what you got?
Whew, you guys have me looking for the heart button to press here on this platform. For me, I love this notion of like conversations had in private versus public. And for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to bring a little private conversation forward to the public. What's coming to my mind is like, naturally, I'm certainly not someone who loves conflict. That's not me. Shocker, I'm sure. I think Sid is probably someone who's a little more open to that. And I remember earlier on in our relationship, Sid was very lovingly speaking to me about having an opinion. Just with little things, like asking, hey, where do you want to go for dinner? Or where do you want to go for lunch? What do you want to do this weekend? And just being so flexible, like I really didn't care. But for Sid, those moments started to come across like I didn't care. And so I feel like that opportunity of communication, like I know, I think we're talking about accountability here tonight, Sid, at some point. And so that accountability and a communication of like, what am I responsible for in this relationship, and not being upset about Sid sharing that feedback. To me, it's just feedback, and being like, okay, yeah, I can see how maybe that's being received, and I actually do care in this relationship. So here's how I can shift. So that's kind of what's coming up for me with this conversation.
Gotcha. And, I think what I was bringing up in a sense was just the challenges that come up in moving as a couple, moving in that way. And then the challenges, how do they look in relationships, and how does it look outside? When we go outside of the house, and I remember we were here in Jacksonville at our hangout, which is this surfer bar. We surf, and so we go hang out. It's not really a bar; it's actually a clothing store with a little coffee stand that serves alcohol. And so we hang out there a lot, and there was this guy that just was being a guy, and oh, here's a pretty lady, and now he's looking around me to look at Liz, and finally Liz is like, I think I'm about to go over and shop for a minute to get away from this guy, and my buddy Thomas, who's a military guy, and he's usually at the bar. That's usually the only reason we're there, to talk to Thomas. And finally the guy leans over to me and he says, are you all together? I said, what? And I'm not going to say it the way I said it in the moment, but I was like, well, what's it to you, buddy? Like, are we going to dance right now? Because I'm quick to that. Like, let's go. We don't have to play. Let's not even play around. Let's just do this thing. And I'm at peace with that, because I know how I stand. And Thomas laughed, because Thomas he heard my voice. He put the beer that he was about to hand out down. He backed up. He's like, I was ready to roll, man. Let's go. Like, that's just how we go. So for me, like, I think people get this idea of peace as, oh, it's got to be lazy. I got to be nice. No, nice eventually looked like victim to me. And I'm not a victim under any circumstance. Like, I'm just in it. I just happen to be at peace with, if I got to dance, I'm going to dance really quickly,
Right.
And I know that's how you are, Jason, because that's why we get along.
That's why we get along. So true.
It makes it easy. Yeah.
It does.
So what are some of the challenges you all have faced out in public? Because you're in the public, we're moving around, and I know how that goes. Sometimes people don't know you all just like they don't know us. So they have their own perceptions that aren't always easy to navigate.
Yeah, I mean, we've had defamatory statements about our relationship. I mean, some of the hardest things is things that I've had people say to me, especially before we were married, of like family who would approach me without ever actually knowing him, saying things about him. And that felt like they were stabbing me, like, because yes, we were married in June, but we've been together for almost 7 years. I mean, we, in my opinion, have been one and have been a union for many years. And so when I heard some of the comments that you could see was projection from their own relationships, I mean, it was almost like they were speaking forth what was going on in their lives. And it didn't have anything to do with him. It had nothing to do with me. But boy, did they feel that. And it was because I allowed it for so long in my life that these people felt that they had the ability to come up to me and say things to me about him, about us, about myself, because I used to allow that. And Jason was just another scenario that they could speak on, because that has been a pattern that I allowed for so long. So whether it was Jason or my company or whatever, you just replace the topic, and it was just Jason was the next topic. And to me, that was a big moment, not only because it was fielding so many falsities, but it was, I don't even know if that's a word, but it was such a time that I was broken for him. And now it deflects off of him. But for me, I was like, it rocked my world, because how can people who love you, I have been surrounding myself with someone like him for so long that it was such a juxtaposition to see people who were family or friends. And I say family loosely, friends who were family, all of those things, who could approach me and speak to me the way that I'd allowed for so long. So it was when I was with him, I saw what love was and what speaking kind words was played out every day. And so it was so jarring to see other people, without giving specifics, but the things that were happening up through the wedding, right? Because typically weddings are the source of drama. And that's when people come out of the woodwork and feel that they can give their opinions. I'm not special. We're not special in that way. It feels that every marriage that seems to happen close to the wedding, everyone feels like they can give their opinion. And those opinions were really flags to me, where I said, I have allowed this for so long, but I'm really seeing it now for the first time. And so when I saw that happening, I had an ability to really train myself to speak up, to defend him. Like Liz, conflict is not my wheelhouse, but Sid, you're spot on when you say, peace isn't just allowing things to happen. It's being a happy warrior. So if it means you have to pull something out and go after someone, you have to do it in defense of the one you love and to protect our peace and protect our joy. And I would pull that sword out of the quiver any day. I guess it's an arrow out of the quiver any day that I need to in defense. I'm not good with these terms or these analogies, and dancing around the subject matter. But I guess the broad point is, those moments have happened for us, and where there's attacks on my character, but it hurts me even more when it's an attack on him, because I know how amazing he is. And it's heartbreaking to see that. It doesn't happen often. But like I said, weddings just seem to be the thing that draws it out. And it just happened that our wedding was a couple months ago. So it's a great example to pull for this moment.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch. I told Emily, I was like, your family, anybody, if somebody meets me and doesn't like me, that is completely understandable. but if you don't like me before you've met me, you're a freaking idiot. And I mean that for everybody. Like if somebody goes, oh, I don't like Sid, and they haven't ever met you, or Liz or Emily, that's like, you don't like them. Like, so you're the person that puts salt on your food before you taste it. Okay. I got it. Right. You're one of those people. And I've just gotten used to that over years and years. And it rolls right off of my shoulders because I literally don't care. Like,
you don't live in a box. And I don't want to interrupt you, but I think it's important to say he does not live in a box. And that makes people very uncomfortable. He speaks what needs to be said. He's not harsh with his words. He doesn't put people down, but he will speak the unspoken. And that's what brings peace in our lives. But that makes people uncomfortable who are used to sweeping things under the rug, who are used to a tumultuous relationship themselves. And so it'll cause people to look at him and say, I'm all in. I love this man. Or I can't face my life. So I'm just going to say, I hate this man. Those are the two options with Jason.
There really is no in between at
It's
all.
either you love him or you suck.
That's it. That's it. And I love the way, because it does come down to being to a place where you feel sorry for somebody.
Yeah.
You know, you start to go, man, how miserable is your life? Because what you see with me is 100%. Emily's been with me for 7 years, right? This isn't yesterday. It's not 6 months. It's not like putting on a show while you're dating. It's 7 years of you get what you see is exactly what you get. There is no business Jason or private Jason or friend Jason or, you know, in a relationship with Emily Jason. There is one version of me. That's it. And that really messes with people, you know, and again, going back to the feeling sorry for people, because I don't live in a box. I don't live under anybody else's, you know, Jason, you came from this, so you're going to be treated like this, or you're, you know, this, or you're a man, or you're white, or you're this, or nobody else's opinions get to matter, because I know who I am. And there's no such thing as oppression in my life, because again, I don't think anybody has oppression in their life, because if anybody came from where you came from, they look like you look, they have this sexual preference or the skin color or the gender or the whatever, and they've been able to do something with their life, you don't have any reasons or excuses anymore, right? There's no such thing as a reason or excuse, because somebody did it. Somebody already did it. So, okay, 5,000 people didn't do it because they want to use that excuse. I'm not that guy, right? I'm going to say I'm not oppressed in any way. Somebody else's opinion of me doesn't matter in any way. And I've loved living in that place, because what you hear out of people's mouths in their moment of judgment is more about them than it will ever be about the target of their judgment. And so that can bring forth a little bit of empathy and release, I think, is the most important word, is to go, okay, cool. You don't want to hang around me. That's your loss. Bye. And Emily will tell, I'll finish with this, is that Emily knows I have a light switch. I have a light switch. And when I am done with you, I am done.
Yeah.
I got no more use.
And I think you've become such a great example for me, because you have to get to a place where you are okay with people not liking you. And once you pass that threshold and you're like, all right, they don't like me, I got to get over it. I mean, I'm in the weed industry. There's people with very strong opinions about that, right? And I had to get over very quickly what people thought. I mean, I've had people, even just recently, we found out that someone had been saying, oh my gosh, she's off the deep end. You know, she's starting the weed industry. She's in the weed. And that was 7 years ago they were saying. And I just found out 2 months ago that someone had been saying that to everyone they met. We don't know.
From a corner office at a big law firm on her way to make partner to the weed business.
Yeah, I love that. So, yeah. And so I had someone in my life that I was close to, I found out, was telling everyone, yeah, we're concerned about her. She's off the deep, you know, because they were projecting their own fears. And maybe it came from a place of love or fear. I don't know. But either way, the day I got comfortable, which was not too long ago, but the day I got comfortable with people will have negative opinions of me, and I'm okay with it. And I don't have to try to justify myself or defend myself, but I get to live and keep growing expansively. And I don't have to worry about that. That's the day that I felt really, truly free, and free to love him the way he needs to be loved, in full capacity without holding back, and free to love myself in full capacity without holding back. And it's an amazing place to be, because you can actually feel joy and you don't have to hold back on any aspect of your life. But until I was okay with that, he taught me that, but it took me years to get it. And the day I did, it was compounded over years of working through that. But it was like a light switch for me, where I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm so happy. I'm in such a better place. And I don't know, those were long and winded answers from both of us. Sorry, Liz.
The Sisneros is catching up to her.
I see. Like, Woo! I was just sitting back and saying, okay, I think I started the conversation here for them.
You did.
Yeah, you got us
Liz,
going.
what you got? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I feel like the Cisneros energy is contagious, and then like the bald-headed energy is a little bit contagious because I kept feeling like Emily was speaking about Jason, but it was really about you a lot too, Sid. So I definitely feel some connection with what you guys were sharing. And I think what comes up for me is just that those challenges that might show up in relationships are such great opportunities in disguise. And like I feel like I've come to a place where I don't really even see challenges as a challenge. So it's kind of like swimming in my mind around this concept that you brought up, Sid. Um, so yeah, I'll make mine really short and just kind of pause there.
Well, the thing that came up for me is, especially as you were sharing, Emily, is this idea of people living from their fears when really love is everything. So even the thing that we perceive as fear is not real. Fear is the illusion when peace is lost. That person that could have 7 years ago just brought it to your attention, that same thing that looks like fear later down the road, if they had brought it to your attention in the moment, would have been, I love you, let me check in with you, and then I'll get to know what's really going on for you, and I don't need to talk to anybody else. So that's something that's big for me. I mean, I have like a non-negotiable. If you gossip, you're just not part of my existence. Like, go do your thing. You can go gossip wherever you want. You talk to a bunch of people. That's my one. In every business I've ever had, that's my one. You're automatically dismissed. You gossip, see you later. Like,
Love
now, part of that looks like the people. A friend of mine once said something that I thought was really powerful as he was going through a breakup in his relationship, and it was, I'm not worried about the people that talk about me. I'm worried about the people that feel comfortable to come talk to you about me. Like, you're the one I really need to know. That person is too scared to come talk to me. I want to know about the person sitting next to me, hanging out with me, and knocking on my door to come hang out. And now everybody gets to come talk to you, but you've never said anything. So, that's a piece for me where I just watch that, and over time, I've been blessed that I've been able to talk to those that I call friends and even family to say, okay, this is how I roll. Now, you want to roll a different way, you got to go do it. But it's important that, for me, I see it like that, and that leads me to that place of knowing that peace is kind of the foundation for me. When peace is lost, I thought someone falls into the illusion that is around fear. Those things aren't real. But even, let's say, hate that's down here above the line of peace, when peace comes in, that expression in the loving way is actually a sense of protection. you know that's the expression of love when it comes to hate. So that's what I mean by, it's all really love. It's just the illusion is when it's expressed in some way that doesn't go back to love. So that's how I've always evaluated looking at people. Either you're standing with me, or it's okay, but you're standing against me if not. So that's really, and I'm fortunate that Liz is strong enough, even in her quietness, to be like, okay, I see that. She sees that as well, and stands in that way. So that's really awesome. The next question I have is, when a lot of times when I'm teaching people how to access peace, it's learning to be in the appropriateness of whatever it is they're expressing. Like I'm saying, that everything has an expression of love. I mean, someone who's mean, at some point, mean is really being strong. You got to sometimes be mean to stand, and the illusion of being a victim is can be someone who's being humble can easily become a victim if they always stay humble. So how does that show up when you think of just being in the appropriateness in your house? I'm sure, Jason, you've had to have one of these moments. This is how it shows up. Hey, Sid, what do you think of my outfit? Now I got to be in the appropriateness of being loved, but saying, let's try something else on. What do you think? Does that ever happen in your house?
I mean, to be honest with you, I do a lot of choosing of her outfits. So
we met each other in workout clothes. But
yeah, we met each other. We did.
I think the nice way is, I think the way I brought it up is, why don't we each throw one thing out of each other's wardrobe that we don't like? Because I know what I'm beelining for in your closet, and you know what you're beelining for in mine.
Yeah, she's had things where, and I remember, like, I think the first time I ever actually did it to her, we were on a trip in Aruba, and she had this thing that was like a 90-year-old woman's.
It wasn't. It wasn't a muumuu. It was this cute floral cover up that I got
for a 90-year-old. Yeah, for a 90-year-old. Not saying that it wouldn't look great on a 90-year-old. I'm sure it would have. So I take her into this swimsuit shop, and I'm like, hey, try on some stuff, right? And I'm like, so she throws me the muumuu, and she's trying on, all this stuff, and I took it and threw it in the trash can.
On the record, it was not a muumuu. It was not a muumuu.
It was a muumuu. To me, it was a muumuu, but not flattering of the incredible body that my wife has. So, but yeah, I don't think Emily and I don't mince words. Like, I love the question about the appropriateness, and I can't wait to hear what she has to say about how I deal with people in this area. But I believe, and I believe this with all my heart, that the only appropriate response is the one that the person is either asking for or ready for. And for me to give that message with deep love. And that does, to your point, it does come across as mean. I have conversations with people. Emily will text me and she's like, this is making me, so uncomfortable. Like when we're in a conversation that must be pushed to the next level. And I look at, I have one rule. There's nothing in this universe worthy of the destruction of another person's spirit. Nothing. There's nothing. And whether I'm angry or whatever, I mean, the good thing is that I have Emily to talk to, because she takes a lot of steam off of some of the conversations I have before I have them. But we'll be going at it, and I'll be like, this person is pissing me off and blah, blah, blah. And then I'll get on the phone with them. I'm like, look, here's the direction we need to go. And I have a strategy. And it's slap, kiss, slap. Okay. You slap them with a little bit of truth, and then you kiss them a little bit to make them feel better. And then you slap them with that truth again. Right. And sometimes it's kiss, slap, kiss most of the time, but sometimes it's slap, kiss, slap. But that's my approach. And the only appropriateness, again, is if you go into it, we also have a theory that we work on in business, which is that we always attack the problem, never the person. And there's no proper management, no well-run company that is constantly out to destroy the character of the person. You're going to run into this, and you probably already have in running for president, is that once you lose your argument, the only thing that you have is to destroy and attack somebody's character. And the reason is because we've all got easy targets. Because we've all made mistakes. It's easy to attack Donald Trump. Why? Because he's made mistakes. If I'm going to have the conversation about Trump or Biden, I'm going to look at results. Because I believe that everybody has mistakes in their past. Everybody has made bad decisions in their life. And all I want to know is what you're doing, what you're working on, what is the outcome, right? What is that outcome? Because if I was going to sit around and wait for the perfect person to walk the face of the planet before I was going to vote for him, I would be waiting until Jesus came back. you know, and, and there's no such thing as a perfect person, no such thing. But
when I think it's
we're going, if we keep going down that one, I'd
Yeah.
have to say, nah. First, I just have to say, and I think this goes back to relationships in the house. Like I know that Liz and I drove in a car for 32,000 miles in a year, right? So we were in the car, like it's called rub an elbow. Oh, like you're right here all day, every day. So the thing that I can say was, you know, now we do something a little different in coaching. When I was coaching football, it was called a coach's sandwich. So it wasn't a slap, kiss, slap. It was give them some sugar, then give them what can be improved and come back with some sugar. So we were more the kiss, slap, kiss,
right,
in that way. And when I look at, I think when it goes into the household and into the relationships, it's kind of like, okay, how can I catch what I've done if there was something? Because when we were in the car, there was one moment I remembered like yesterday, and I the coach in me came up, but we're in the car, and that loud coach's voice in the car, and I looked at Liz's face, and it was like, and I was like, oh, you will never get that voice again, and I'm gonna rewind, and I apologize for the action I've done. So this is where in what you brought up is like, all right, yeah, you got to own. Yes, people make missteps, steps that they wouldn't make looking at, because I don't think anything is done in any way other than to make us the greatest version of ourselves. So in that sense, now I've got to own it. Otherwise, you don't get a pass from me. You don't get a pass just because you felt like being a jerk and you
Right.
never owned it. You got to
Right.
own it. And that
Gotta
I
own
think that happens in our house, that space of, all right, if anything comes, I own it.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
not sure
think
where the echo's coming.
and Jason, it's and Sid, you're spot on. And Jason, I think what you were saying in a broader sense in business is speak the unspoken, but you don't ever have to attack the character, you attack the problem. And I've never seen you ever demean or demoralize someone or demean their character when you're correcting them in business. And likewise, we do not do that with each other ever.
Ever.
And we make sure to protect that. And I know relationships there are situations where people may have found themselves having said things that they regret. But I do think there's a forgiveness element and recovery, and you can grow closer after that. But we have made it a point to never do that. So he carries that in business and the relationship. And I do the same.
Yeah, it was one of the
Right
first
on.
things that we talked about. I said, let's never say something that we can't take back. And we have lived up for 7 years. Like that has been one of the cornerstones, I believe, to the success of our relationship and the growth of it, is that we have taken that as a golden rule, is to never do that to each other, to never say something that can't be taken back.
Love that. Liz, what do you want to add? Anything?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about the moo moo. And
I have more where that came from, Liz. I'll tell you one.
I mean, I might have a few things that could qualify as moo moos in Jason's book. I don't know. But I will say that back to that, I feel like for me, and I don't know, I'm like, is this character? I don't know what this would be, character problem. However, if I ask Sid for feedback and I don't like what he says, that's on me. And I accept that responsibility. So yeah, there are surely times where I might say, hey, what do you think of this? And he tells me what he thinks. And it's on me.
Are we going out of the house?
It's on me to take that feedback and do what I like with it. But I think in all seriousness, there's that opportunity for that that example in life. I remember when I was doing yoga training with Sid, and he talked about people voting with their feet. Like, people are always giving us feedback. If I'm teaching a class and there's one person that's showing up, then that's feedback. If I'm talking to someone and they're scrunching their face all kind of crazy ways, that's feedback around what I'm saying. And so I think there's something to that with relationships, and certainly with people who we choose to be in our life versus people who are family. There's always that opportunity for feedback, and then we get to choose where we go from there. And sometimes that means moving on from relationships. Sometimes it means looking at ourselves. Sometimes it means don't ask people what you think of an outfit. But that I think is on me to figure out and navigate.
Awesome. Awesome. So we've got 5 minutes before we begin to wrap up. And I want to touch on lesson 6 that is for this week for people to look at. Lesson 6 from the playbook to peace is speaking from I, and how that really shows up a lot when I listen to people share what they're about, or a lesson they want to give to other people. And especially in our house, there's no, you need to do this way for me. One, it's not always true. And when I speak from it just speaks from truth. Even if it's, when you did this, I feel, this is how I feel. I'm taking ownership for it. Or it may be, I want this doesn't mean that you need to do this. It's just what I want. Now, if you don't, it might be a different story. If I'm speaking a certain way and Liz is like, she knows that this is the way she would like it to be, then she's going to speak for herself. Now, it's up to me, like she said, to just, all right, how do I want it to be? If she feels a certain way and she says, I feel sad when this happens, like I don't make the bed. If you don't make the bed, I feel sad. I use that as an example because I've actually made the bed with her in it. So I'm good. That'll never happen. It's just like, all right, you want to sleep all day? Cool. I got to make my side of the bed. You're in there. I'm making my side of the bed. And, but it's really like, all right, how can I really own myself? Right. Because that's all I can. That's all I can take care of is my side. So I want to bring that lesson forward for people to really look at how is the I in each of us showing up. And anything you all want to add, or anything you want to add to wind it up for tonight, go for it. And we're going to go reverse order. Jason, go for it. What you got?
Okay. The whole conversation, it's always fascinating to have conversations with you guys, and that's why we love you. And I think that the more that we focus on being selfless and instead of being selfish, right, it just adds to things. And with Emily and I specifically, I love, like, it's like we have this competition who can love the other person more, and that puts us in, because we're both very competitive people. and it's a fun game to play when you juxtapose it to a lot of other relationships that are out there. I am in love with this woman, and I'm in love with the relationship that I have with her, because we're conscious and we talk about things. And I know that if she has a concern, I'm going to listen, because she's earned that from me, because she listens to me. Right. And I think that that's really what comes up with me every time we're on a show together, every time that we're, not just together. It's really nice to see, the fruits of 7 years of work, which hasn't really felt like work at all, but just a series of conversations to say, I'm going to love her more tomorrow than I love her today. And I can't wait to figure out what kind of way I'm going to show up to do that.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Emily, go for it.
I thought it was really, really good. And I think when you speak from a place of I, like you were talking about, Sid, it allows a conversation to be had where I think one would typically not bring it up. So it allows a little bit of a freer flow of communication. And it's also the rules that we go by, in that I always try to keep a place where he feels he can freely talk to me about something that he needs adjusted or would like to see adjusted. And likewise, I know I won't get punished for bringing something up that's bothering me. I may not deliver it the best, and that's something that we work on constantly, is how to communicate better and better for each other in a way, in a language that they need to hear it, so that it doesn't hurt them when you're trying to bring something up. And I think it kind of brings both of those points you both made together, is that we keep that place between us, that we can have those conversations. And Sid, like you said, it's understanding and hearing how the other person is communicating, and communicating with them in that way that they would like to hear it, because there's no need to make it argumentative or combative. Whatever that may be, you can bring it up in a way that makes it all flourish and makes you both better for it.
Love it. Liz.
Yeah, I love the accountability standpoint. I think it starts in the mind. For me specifically, I just think there used to be a way of communicating that was kind of like no filter. And especially with relationships, learning to, if my immediate thought is about another person, then to take a pause and reflect on, how am I showing up in this moment? How would I like to show up? And how could I show up different the next time? And then communicating that out for that person to hear.
Well, I want to say thank you all for being here tonight. And most importantly, I love that you said you all are competitive. So the next time we get together, we're going to play pool or something, because we are competitive too.
Good. Good.
Top golf. You can do top golf, not pool.
It
'cause I
doesn't
won't
matter.
win a pool.
We
I won't win a
literally,
pool.
yeah, we could
I'll
make
take the stick
anything.
before I lose it, just to like
Yeah.
cancel it all out.
Yeah, it will make anything competitive. If there's not a game in front of us, we'll figure something else out.
Right on, right on. We can play spades or something. We'll figure it out. Awesome.
Exactly.
Well, thank you all, and look forward to the next time we have this conversation. I'll see you back in the green room. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. It's been a pleasure to have you all here. We're excited for all the things to come. Lesson 6 this week: learn to speak from I. When you're in your conversations, whether it's with your spouse, if you're in the meeting rooms, in business, or wherever we are, speak from I. Speak from the truth of what's going on inside of you. Remember, no one can make you feel a certain way. Our feelings are our own. Take ownership for them and continue to move forward. Thank you for tuning in. Please head over to artofpeacefulliving.com or sidmcnairy.com. We've got a lot of things coming up. We've got a big move happening soon. So let's get into that together. All right. Have a beautiful night. Peace.